Had it not been for Loki's good wife, Sigyn, pleading and begging the thunder god not to murder her husband, he might have choked the life out of him there and then, and saved everyone a lot of heartache in the future. But the Norns weave a tangled web. As Thor gripped Loki's neck in one great hand, and Sigyn hung on his right arm, beseeching him not to strike Loki with a great mace-like fist, the half-strangled Loki had the seconds he needed to react, and managed to begin to wheedle and beg for mercy. Loki was a superb actor, and, as his life was in danger, he put on a masterful performance of being repentant, swearing never to do anything ever again to offend Thor or Sif, and to make good the damage done. In a shameful display of whinging cowardice, he begged Thor's pardon, salt tears streaming down his face, great heaving sobs racking his frame. Sobbing like a baby, Loki wailed, "It was the dark wine of Jotunheim, Thor. I never drink it normally. It made me drunk. I hardly remember what I did. I would never do anything to offend you or yours, half-brother. You're my best friend. I'm so sorry. Believe me. Please do not kill me. Yet, for though I surely deserve it, you will leave good Sigyn without a husband and my children without a father. But please let me make amends before I die for the terrible things I have done." Excuse followed apology, and remorse flowed in equal measure with good intentions, as Loki did everything in his power to make Thor withhold the final blow. Thor's great arm shook as his reason warred with his passion, and all the time Sigyn pleaded with him to spare her husband. "Please, my lord, spare him. It was a stupid, drunken joke that went too far, nothing more. He didn't realize what he was doing. It's not really bad. He would never have hurt the Lady Sif. He loves me. Oh, please, great Thor, give him a chance to put right the wrong he has done to you." Fearing that this time he had really gone too far, Loki began to cajole and try to appease the furious thunder god, saying, "Listen, Thor, it'll be all right. I can fix everything. Look, I'll go to the dwarves and get them to make a hairpiece of the finest spun gold for Sif, even more beautiful than her own hair until it grows back. She can keep it, of course, and I'll get them to make magical gifts for Odin and our brother, Ferrie. I'll get them to make something special for you, too. Honestly, I will. Everything will be all right. You'll see. Trust me. I'll make it right with you." Fighting to control his rage, for when Thor got angry, it was not like an ordinary god's anger. He could not just switch it off, but had to release it somehow. The thunder god shook Sigyn free of his arm and sent a fist like a ham crashing towards Loki's head. The god of mischief shut his eyes and heard a terrifying crash. He opened his eyes and saw Thor's forearm just above his shoulder. The thunder god's fist was buried up to the wrist in one of the solid oak beams that held up the wall. Outside in the garden, a lightning bolt had blasted Loki's favourite cherry tree, splitting it in two and setting it on fire. Thor's icy blue eyes stared into Loki's impenetrable black ones, and he growled softly through clenched and grinding teeth. "You have 1 week, half-brother. 1 week to make good your promises. If not, I will come looking for you, and not all the tears in creation will save you from your doom." Releasing the gasping Loki and leaving him rubbing his bruised throat, the thunder god stormed out. Now Loki had had such a shock that he did not even stop to have breakfast. He dressed quickly and set off immediately to try and put things right, changing into a hawk and flying full speed to Svartalfaheim, the land of the Dark Elves. Fortunately for him, Loki had a debt to call in, for favours he had done for a band of elves known as the Sons of Ivaldi, so he went to them and asked them to prepare a headpiece of the finest gold for Frey and gifts worthy of the gods. As well as being great smiths and metal workers, these dark elves were skilled in working gold, and had considerable magic powers too, and in a couple of days produced 3 wondrous gifts. Sif's headpiece was a miraculous thing, spun from the finest golden threads, finer than the spider's web, and it shimmered and shone like the sun when it moved. For Odin, the dwarves created the magical spear Gungnir, which would always hit its target and return to his hand when thrown. And for Frey, they made a dragon ship called Skidblade, that would always find fair winds when it set sail, but which would shrink in size, so that he could pick it up and put it in his pocket whenever he was not using it. Once he saw these things, Loki regained his usual cheeky confidence and forgot about his promise to make a special gift to Thor. He put the hairpiece and the ship in a leather sack and picked up the spear and bid the dwarves farewell. As he walked, whistling and with a spring in his step, through the subterranean tunnels where the dwarves and elves live, he passed by the forge of Brock and Sindri, 2 brothers whose renown as smiths was legendary. Brock was standing in the doorway smoking a pipe, and as Loki drew near, he greeted him. "Hello, Loki. It's a fine spear you carry there. Been shopping, have you? What have you got in that bag?" The curiosity of the dwarves was legendary too, and each was always keen to know what their brothers and cousins were getting up to, so Loki was not taken aback by Brock's inquisitiveness, and indeed was feeling so pleased with himself that he began to boast in his usual arrogant way, saying, "Hello, Brock. Yes, it is rather a splendid spear, isn't it? People say you and your brother are the finest smiths in Svartalfheim, but I bet my head that even you 2 couldn't make anything as good as what I've got in this bag." Now Loki said this without thinking, but really should have been more careful, because among the dwarves and the elves, betting is taken rather seriously, and no sooner were the words out of Loki's mouth than Brock, knocking out his pipe, said, "Done. I'll take that bet. Loki's head, eh? That would be something to talk about now, wouldn't it, eh? A real god's head." Stepping inside the threshold of the forge, he shouted, "Sindri, stoke up the fire. There's work to be done. A challenge bet. Loki has wagered his head that we cannot outdo the gifts he carries." Then, turning to the dumbstruck god of mischief, Brock, rubbing his hands and smiling, said, "Come on in, Loki. You can watch us work, and when we're finished, we'll all go to Asgard, and the gods can decide which is the best work. That'll be a good crack, won't it? If they don't think our work is better than what you carry in the bag, we'll make a gift of it to you. But if they do, then we'll cut off your head and bring it back here, eh? I can't say fairer than that, can you? Let's get cracking." Loki could have kicked himself and wished that he had bitten his tongue before speaking. Odin help him if these 2 brothers were as good as they were said to be. Brock began pumping the bellows to heat up the coals of the forge, and Sindri began to prepare a huge crucible, dropping in lumps of gold ore, and lining up a host of strange tools, the like of which Loki had never seen before. The 2 brothers soon became immersed in what they were doing, and did not notice that before long the crafty Loki had disappeared. As the crucible of ore heated up and reached melting point, Sindri took a vial of some strange crimson liquid and carefully mixed in a few drops in the white-hot gold. Then, when the gold was glowing with a red-tinged radiance, he took a pigskin, and shouting to his brother to keep on pumping the bellows, he began to pour the liquid gold into the pigskin. Brock began to curse and swear as he worked the bellows, for a huge gadfly had flown into the forge and stung him on the neck, drawing blood. But he did not let him stop him from pumping the bellows. Sindri then took a huge pair of pincers and moved the gold-filled pigskin away from the forge and poured a vial of blue liquid on it.